Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Today is Sunday, May the 10th. It is Mother's Day in Mexico, in the United States, and in many countries around the world. Today, we are going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the latest news and headlines, as we usually do. We are also going to talk about an interesting story that is developing in town concerning gay pride. If this is a new experience for you, if you're joining us for the first time, my name is Paco, and we get together every morning to look at some of the latest headlines from stories that are taking place near and far that relate to our life here in Puerto Vallarta. We also exchange um, ideas on how to stay entertained, how to stay inspired, and how to stay creative during these days. If you have been with us before, welcome back. It's always great to see you. If you're joining us for the first time, please type the word "new" in your comments so that we can give you a proper welcome. If you are watching this broadcast as a replay later on in the day, you will find links to all the news items and all the topics that we discuss in the description so that you can peruse them at your leisure. For those of us that are watching live, of course, as soon as the broadcast is over, I prepare the show notes and add them to the broadcast. I upload the broadcast to YouTube in case you want to catch us there. And we then have a more complete experience. I would like to say a couple of quick good mornings to Nina, Gary, Kathleen, Craig, who's happy about the beer. Yes, I'll drink to that. Beer's coming back. Sue, good morning. David, Julie, Colleen, and Gayoff. I hope I said that properly. Whenever I see the word Gayoff, I think about the movie The Sound of Music because that was the name of the captain. So whenever I hear that name, I think Captain Von Trapp. Please don't hold it against me. Good morning, Catherine. And yes, today is Mother's Day. So what is it about Mother's Day? Well, first of all, as always, I had to do some research. You know, we've always celebrated Mother's Day, but I never actually stopped to think about what it is or where it came from. Mother's Day, or the version that we know, the modern version of it, comes from the United States. It was proposed by a lady named Anna Jarvis at the turn of the century. Her mother used to often mention that such a day should exist, and then when her mother died, Anna Jarvis first celebrated Mother's Day, or the first year it was celebrated was in 1908 when she held a memorial for her mother in Grafton, West Virginia. At the time, curiously enough, Congress rejected the idea of having an official Mother's Day because this is the United States Congress, of course, because they felt that if they had an official Mother's Day, they would also have to have an official Mother-in-Law Day as well. Who knew? But, you know, thanks to Anna Jarvis's persistence, the United States Congress eventually came to officially recognize the holiday on 1911. And it is always celebrated on the second Sunday of the month in the United States. Of course, here in Mexico, the holiday was imported in 1922 by then Mexican President Alvaro Obregón. He imported the holiday from the United States, and it is designed to always take place on May the 10th, regardless of the day of the week. In Mexico, it is not an official event in any way. In Mexico, what do? We serenade our mothers. We sing Las Mañanitas to our mothers, which is the Mexican happy birthday song. It is interesting to see that in her latter years, Jarvis, the woman that started Mother's Day in the United States, came to regret the fact that the holiday had become so commercialized. And of course, we can see how that takes place both north of the border and here in Mexico. In Mexico, we have this very weird thing that goes on during Mother's Day, or at least I think it's weird. Supermarkets and appliance stores put appliances on sale, and they will put up signs that say things like, pamper your mother with new pots and pans. I mean, aren't we supposed to celebrate moms and give them the best day possible in which they don't have to cook, they don't have to clean, they don't have to do anything? And yet, you go to the supermarket and what's on sale this weekend? Um, Ovens, refrigerators, pots and pans, things like that. So, needless to say, that could be a nice gift for a mom, I suppose, but I don't know. I never thought about giving my mom more tools to have to work on the day in which we celebrate mothers. But of course, it's a personal thing. Today, just as every day of the week, I will be thinking about my mom, um, who has passed on for a few years. It is thanks to my mom that two wonderful things happened to me. Number one, I learned kindness from her. She was always a kind person, and I learned curiosity from her. I think if my mom had lived through Wi-Fi and the internet, she would have never slept because she was a genuinely curious woman, curious about the world around her, and curious about the people in her life. So I miss my mom terribly, and I wish all of you, if you're moms, I hope you'll have a really, really wonderful day today. I started my day with my kitty cat, of course, Luna. She wished me a happy Mother's Day by biting my nose at about 5 o'clock in the morning. She wanted to be fed. And that's the kind of mother that I am to my cat. I have to get up and feed her. So let's take a quick look at some more hellos before we dive into this morning's headlines. Julie wishes happy Mother's Day to everybody. Um, well, happy Mother's Day to all of you. I'm so happy that you're here even on a Sunday. It's always great to see you. And now, well, let's take a look at some of the headlines that I have put together for you today. There's a lot of stuff going on around the world. Well informed. Of course, it couldn't be Mother's Day without Hugo López-Gatell making a plea to Mexico's population to stay home and not visit moms and grandmoms, just as we would on Mother's Day. This is also a day in which it's suggested that, we say we celebrate our moms from afar, and we hope for a better time in which we will be able to celebrate our mother subsequently. We also learned from our governor, Enrique Alfaro, that they're starting to prepare for what they're calling phase zero. Now, let me come back to the big screen because I took a look at this and I did some homework. Here's what's going on in the state of Jalisco. Really wonderful stuff. Well, first of all, Governor Alfaro met with his economics team. These are the people that are urging the governor to kickstart activities because the economy of the state is hurting. Because we know this, there are people that are just itching to get things back to running as usual, or to get activity happening, and this is completely understandable. So Governor Alfaro met with that team and got their recommendations. And then yesterday, Saturday, Alfaro met with his health team. First with the economic team, then with the health team to balance, what the expectation of the economic team is against the safety of the population. So Alfaro met with his health experts, which includes statisticians and scientists from the University of Guadalajara, and they listened to the proposals from the economic team. And yesterday, during that meeting, Governor Alfaro did a televised or a videoed announcement in which he indicated that the phase in which activities are going to be reactivated in the States is going to be known as phase zero. And it is on Thursday this week that he will announce specifically how this is going to unfold. This does not mean, as we've said before, that on the 15th, things are going to go back to business as usual. On Thursday, the governor will, on Thursday, which I believe is the 14th, the governor will announce which activities will begin returning to normal based on both the recommendations of his economic people, his medical people, and keeping in mind the industries that have been hit the hardest during the pandemic. So this is all what is going to happen, and of course, we will continue to keep an eye open on this development. Oh, Alfaro did advance one piece of news that is really important for parents that are living here in the state of Jalisco, which is that he is recommending that school does not return until the fall. Needless to say, he's waiting for federal approval. This has to be approved by the Education Secretariat nationwide. But Alfaro, our governor, is recommending that schools in Jalisco do not resume activities until September, the fall. So we'll keep track on this. We'll keep track of it, and we'll see how this continues to unfold. Yesterday, we discussed the reaction that the Mexican government had to this article that was published by the New York Times. Several of you were so kind to forward the article to me, and I've had a chance to read it. And yes, the article paints a rather grim picture of the possibility that the Mexican government might be concealing deaths from the official report. And I honestly don't know what to tell you. You know, it's one of those things in which the governor says one thing, the government says one thing, critics say another. I mean, this is happening in every country. This is happening everywhere. As far as these articles are concerned, I ask myself, you know, when we give ourselves the choice and the mission to communicate something, what is the reason behind that choice? Excuse me. So whenever I try to communicate something, I try to communicate something to educate, not to stir controversy. I'm not saying that that's the mission of this article, but, you know, one can take it in a way that one can become alarmed, or one can take it in a way in which one can say, well, how does this affect me directly? Needless to say, the New York Times is not going to come in here and solve Mexico's health situation any more than we would be solving the United States. So take it, read it take it with a grain of salt, and take it from there. That's my invitation to you. Tell me what you think about the article if you read it, and of course, the link to the article will be in the show notes. Meanwhile, we also commented yesterday on how the virus is out on the loose in the White House, and Fauci has now become quarantined or self-quarantined because he was exposed to, because he was possibly exposed to the virus, thanks to some people within the White House which have been infected. This is challenging, I'm sure, for the United States government, as he is the top spokesperson of the United States' actions towards the virus. I also find another interesting article on Yahoo about the future of flying seen through the eyes of the flight attendants. This includes both a written article and also some video testimonials that I found extremely interesting for those of us that are thinking of flying sometime in the near future, or not so near future. This is an interesting article to read. I also found this fascinating article that shows how officials try to convince people to wear masks after many refused during the 1918 flu pandemic. The article reveals how men were more reluctant to wear masks because they were effeminate, not the men, but the masks. And the article also emphasizes how men didn't practice proper personal hygiene. So again, if you want to see a comparison of what it was like to wear masks during another pandemic and what it's like to wear masks now, I welcome your comments to this particular topic. I think that photograph is fabulous, if you ask me. Let me take a look at some of your reactions before we move on. Um, Happy birthday, Julie. Who's Julie? Is this your birthday? Well, happy birthday, Julie Bunker, wherever you are. I think you're up in the States, right? Happy birthday. Um, how's my favorite hippie? This is really wonderful. Oh, that's for Gina Presley, who had some procedure done. Paul comments, an undercount, if cases do not necessarily indicate a conspiracy or cover up, it can be simply lack of testing, and you can confirm a cause of death or a pneumonia as being by COVID. Absolutely agreed. Um, Trump silenced Fauci some time ago. Well, yes, we know that. Um, and now he's being put in quarantine. That is really, really funny. Oh, Julie is here in Vallarta. That's good to know, Julie. Again, if it is your birthday, I think you should have a really wonderful birthday. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Let me go back to some headlines here because I have some more headlines to share. Dan Savage, who is a United States commentator and LGBT activist, had a sit-down conversation with Bill Maher about love under lockdown and how we are approaching love. And what I mean by love, I mean sex in the time of COVID-19. He had a really interesting point of view that applies both to, gay sex, straight sex, any kind of sex. It was really interesting to listen to. It is always fascinating, even for my little ears, to hear somebody speak so openly about sexual acts. But anyhow, you can watch this. You can tell me what you thought. Yesterday, in the midst of the excitement, I failed to acknowledge the fact that rock and roll icon Little Richard has died. This was so sad. For those of you who don't know the impact of Little Richard in our culture, and by our culture I mean our pop music, rock and roll culture, of course, Vox has come to the rescue with a wonderful article that gives us a big perspective of how Little Richard, who gave us Tutti Frutti and Good Golly Miss Molly and so many crazy antics through the years, developed his stage persona. I think it is wonderful to see not only this retrospective, but also some of the reactions that famous people have expressed about his passing. Spike Lee says, "Rest in peace to one of the true creators of rock and roll." And he shows that commercial that he directed with Little Richard and Michael Jordan. There is further comment about Little Richard on CNET, in which people like Mick Jagger, Ringo Starr, Michelle Obama react. He was a true icon in the world of rock and roll. And if you have a little bit of curiosity about his life, I'm sure you will want to go and read this. We loved his music, and we loved the fact that he was completely outrageous. I remember being a young gay teenager being totally shocked by what he did, and I used to ask myself, is this what I am, or what I'm going to become, or what's going on? But I was always drawn to his extravagance. It was nice to read what Elton John had to say. I'm going to advance that, if I may. Elton John said, "Without a doubt, musically, vocally, and visually, he was my biggest influence. Seeing him live in my teens was the most exciting event in my life at that point. Goosebumps, electricity, and joy came from every pore." Isn't that wonderful? Anyhow, so these are mostly the headlines that I have. I want to talk briefly about something that is developing here in Puerto Vallarta as it relates to gay pride. I am sure that not everybody in the audience is gay, and it is quite possible that some of you are not that interested in gay pride. And if you are, it's great. And if you're not, I'll try to be brief, but I want to get something out of my chest for the sake of clarity. Gay Pride is celebrated in Puerto Vallarta every year, like Gay Pride is celebrated in many places around the world. This year, the Gay Pride Committee gave a statement a few weeks ago saying that Gay Pride would be canceled. And at the time, it made perfect sense to cancel it. Um, and at the time, Gay Pride did not announce any other events. So Gay Pride was not going to be postponed. Gay Pride was going to be canceled. Meanwhile, another initiative spearheaded by members of the gay community and other people from Puerto Vallarta uh, decided to create a virtual gay pride celebration, inviting gay businesses, gay performers to stream live from a specific Facebook page. And now the Gay Pride Committee has come out saying that, that's a pun, has come out saying that they are indeed planning something. They've changed their mind. So now there's going to be this huge fundraising event that is going to benefit workers from the gay bars. And it's going to include a huge star-studded selection of performers from Puerto Vallarta and elsewhere. And they are saying that they are the only official event. And that's great. You know, for all of us, it's great, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, if Gay Pride decides to do an event and raise funds, I think it's super awesome. And then, on the other hand, if some individuals are organizing a community-based event in which everybody is given the opportunity to participate, I think that's also an awesome thing. The nature of the new event is such that if you are a gay business, gay, and by saying gay, I mean, of course, gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, etc., and you wish to stream something live, whether it is a performance or a cooking class or a makeup tip session or just toot your own horn in any way, shape, or form, you can do that. You can tell your story, and you don't have to pay a cent. All you have to do is know how to stream live. So this other new alternative event or fringe event, call it whatever you like, is wonderful as well because it democratizes the process. It allows everyone or anyone that wishes to say something about their prideness, their pride or their identity or how they serve our community, has the opportunity to do that. So I think it really is wonderful that there are these two initiatives going on at the same time. Now, and again, I'm wearing my opinion hat. Both initiatives can stand to learn a thing or two. And again, this is just my opinion. If the Gay Pride Committee was planning all along to do a special event, then perhaps they could have been more forthcoming with the announcement because nobody knew that this was happening. The new initiative, the virtual Pride celebration, could also learn a thing or two about making their announcements and their information more publicly accessible. So these are great opportunities for both organizers to learn from one another, and something that is quite close to my heart, to learn about what people actually want to see. The Gay Pride Committee has been criticized for focusing a lot on circuit parties and big performances which appeal to a segment of the gay community, but not necessarily to the entire community. And who would want to appeal to the entire community? Imagine if there was a restaurant that actually served Chinese, Thai, Mexican, Tex-Mex. Imagine a restaurant that served food to please everybody. It would be next to impossible. So if the Gay Pride Committee has become very adept at organizing these large-scale events with live entertainment, that's awesome. But then if there's this other opportunity for anyone in the community to feel like they're part of the celebration, that is awesome too. I am very happy to see that a number of businesses that I know have decided to join forces with the fringe or alternative or community virtual event. One of them is Paul Christ, who is in this audience. Paul will be doing something from Hotel Mercurio. I am going to be doing daily broadcasts as part of this alternative event, in which I'm going to talk both in English and in Spanish, and I'll go back to that point in a second. And I'm going to be doing a cultural capsules on gay literature in Mexico and in the world, gay movies in Mexico and in the world. We're going to talk about the famous 41, the Mexican Stonewall, which not a lot of people know about. We're going to interview members of the community who have been part of Puerto Vallarta's LGBT history. So we're going to do whatever we can to ensure that there are as many voices heard during this special event. And I want to go back to the Spanish bit. One thing that is unfortunate or fortunate, depending on how you see it, is that our community is largely bilingual. So in the best of the efforts, one should be able to offer content or things for both communities. Of course, you could say to me, well, Paco, you stream in English. Well, because I've made a choice to stream in English. But for this particular event, I will be streaming in Spanish as well. And I'm happy to see that some of my Spanish-speaking friends from the gay community are also joining the event. I have just heard that Divas de Rancho, which is a very popular gay performing troupe here in Puerto Vallarta, is also going to be part of the event. And I think I've gotten that out of my system. Once more information becomes available from both organizations, then we will have a chance to rejoice in the fact that all that this accomplishes really is that it opens the eyes to people that we have a very diverse community and we have a lot of things to offer here in Puerto Vallarta for the LGBT community. And let me see if you have any reactions about this. Let me take a quick look. Dun 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 dun. Logan Miller mentions there are still plenty of options left. You just need a strong Wi-Fi connection and a bit of creativity. This is absolutely true. When I say that people have to stream live, it does not necessarily mean that you have to put together a huge production. All you have to do is tell people a little bit about your world. If you're a gay bar owner and you want to, all you have to do is spend half an hour talking to people about the experience that one may have at your business or how you nurture the LGBT community in town. Paul mentions nobody owns gay pride, especially a wealthy large business that thinks they do. This is true. Gay pride doesn't belong to anyone any more than one restaurant can open or cannot open. So it is nice to see that other people are jumping on board and creating other things. Yes, you need to know how to stream. Let me tell you something, Renee. There are so many tutorials on YouTube and on the internet. The same people that make software to be able to do this are the first people that offer tutorials on how to do it. So anybody that wishes to learn something can do that. I speak from personal experience. I didn't know how to stream 2 months ago, and here we are. And here you are joining me, and this is really wonderful. Paul says, I support a democratic concept of pride that is inclusive and shares the diversity of LGBTQ culture. Precisely, and that's the beautiful thing about this other event, that it gives an easy access to anyone to participate in the event. Brian says inclusive is most important. We should talk about the backstory, Paco. Okay, I can talk about the backstory. What do you mean? Okay, this is what I understand of the backstory. 2 weeks ago, no, it was about 2 weeks ago when I saw that Gay Pride was canceled, and I see that I've been doing all these things, streaming live every day. I thought to myself, well, 1 week in June, I should pick a week in which I feature LGBT-related content just to commemorate Pride. And I mentioned it to Paul, and I said to him, I'm mentioning this because I want to make sure that some acknowledgement is made. And by commenting it with you, I'm not implying that this should add to your workload. I'm sure you have all kinds of things in your plate, et cetera, et cetera. And Paul was actually somewhat skeptical about the idea. He said, well, who's going to do it and where are we going to get money and so forth and so on. So that was that. And then I went on my own and thought, okay, so if I was to stream about gay pride during a week, what would I talk about? And I made myself a list, and I'll make it public at some point because I want you to join me as we all learn a little bit about gay history in our country, in Mexico. And I made myself a note to interview a few people, and that was the end of the story. Then Paul got in touch with me because apparently Paul heard about this new event, the virtual pride event. And the virtual pride event was originally going to take place at the same time as, or on the same weekend as Puerto Vallarta has celebrated gay pride every year, which is at the end of May. I believe it's around May 27. Excuse me. And I said to Paul Christ, Paul, I think that's a bad idea. And I think you should go to the organizers of the virtual event and suggest that the event takes place during the month of June. And Paul asked me why. And I said, well, for starters, if we have a gay pride celebration of any kind during the month of May, during the month of May, we will still not know when we will be able to open the city back for business. So it will be a wasted opportunity to amass the attention of all this population, both in Puerto Vallarta and around the world, without having a complete circle saying, okay, so here we are, happy and proud, etc., etc. Oh, but we still don't know when we're going to open for business. So the idea of moving forward, or moving ahead the virtual event to the month of June, I said to Paul, provides a better opportunity for us to learn what the plans are in Mexico, both at federal and state and local level, as to when we're going to open, such that if we have, or if there is a virtual event during the month of June, it'll be a lot easier to say, well, these are the businesses, this is the community, this is what we are, this is how we celebrate, this is how we welcome the gay community to Puerto Vallarta, and this is the date in which we reopen for business. So it provides a more comprehensive message. So apparently Paul took that message back to the organizers of the virtual Pride celebration, and it was then that they decided to change the date. So I hope that that's what you mean about the backstory, Paul, and I hope I've explained it properly. Another suggestion that I put forth, and I'm not saying that these are all my ideas, this just simply makes sense, is that the alternative event provides an excellent opportunity for Spanish-speaking members of the community to be heard. For example, there's a whole community of Mexican cowboys that are gay, and this has nothing to do with gay cowboys in the United States. And they mostly are Spanish speakers, and we need to know them. It would be so nice to hear more about the lesbian community in Puerto Vallarta, for example. They kind of do their own thing, and we don't necessarily know. I mean, the communities don't overlap as much as some of us would like to. Anyhow, this is all part of what's going on. I think it's awesome, again, because we all have a chance to share who we are and what we're doing. Welcome to Cheesecake Factory. How many? What? How many in your party? I'm a little lost with that, Sean. Maybe you can clarify. It also allows those who are still in the closet to be involved behind the scene. Absolutely. This is super important, Claude, because we all have our comfort levels. There are certain people that still don't feel comfortable expressing themselves in public, and providing an opportunity to be able to connect with the community from the safety of your computer screen, wherever that may be, also provides that level of support and comfort. Geoff, whose name I love, Geoff, Captain von Trapp, loves the idea of diversity and inclusivity, which is the backbone of the Pride movement. Amen. Kathleen agrees with the opinion. I thank you for that. More thanks. Love Pink and Proud, our local lesbian sisters. I really hope that Pink and Proud does something for this event, and it'll be really, really wonderful to see that unfold. Last but not least, I am going to have the organizers of the virtual event join us live here on this space on Wednesday morning to better explain what's going on. So hopefully you will tune in, and hopefully others will tune in. And again, this is not the official versus the unofficial event as far as I'm concerned. I think it's a great opportunity from the point of view of the public to get a broader view of what the LGBT community is about. And I'm personally grateful for all the work that the Pride Committee has done through the official event. And I'm also grateful for the fact that citizens that are just regular Puerto Vallarta citizens would take it upon themselves to organize an alternative event that allows all of us to have a democratic participation in the event. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win for us, and let's hope that things continue to develop in that fashion. Oh, I didn't know that the Cheesecake Factory has a huge menu. Oh, you're joking, Sean. I certainly hope you're joking. Rita Myers, we have a lesbian group meeting weekly during high season. I can put you in touch with them. Good for you. Yes, please do, because I would love to know what you're up to. And I'm sure that by talking about it, you will inspire other women to join your effort. Bravo. It is not a competition. At least I don't think it is a competition. I certainly hope some people don't see it as such. Thank you for watching, Russell. Again, it's always nice to see that you're here and that you always stick around till the very end. At least most of you do. More outreach to our sisters is essential. Absolutely. More outreach to everybody. And again, I have offered this invitation to members of the community who choose to make this platform a vehicle to let us know what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. I'm grateful that more and more people have contacted me about the possibility of coming live or sharing your projects, et cetera, et cetera. I keep adding all of these to my list, and hopefully we will continue to improve our content here at Coffee and Headlines so that we can create a tighter community. Joey from Gay Guide Vallarta chimes in, wants to get in touch. Again, Rita and Joey talk to one another. That's the whole purpose of this space, for us to build and develop community. And I think I'm starting to repeat myself, so I'm going to stop now because I think we're all pretty much on the same channel. As always, I thank you for your time. I thank you for stopping by. I thank you for coming back day after day or whenever you can to share your time with us here at Coffee and Headlines. I hope today you will be thinking about your moms. I hope your children will be thinking about you. Please remember to celebrate safely. Please remember to keep a distance and stay healthy, stay sane, stay inspired, stay creative. And I will see you again tomorrow morning. Have a great day.